their deepest penetration of the game. Back to pass, looking, got all kinds of time. Here he comes rolling to the right. He's going to throw back left. The ball is caught. Touchdown, Lamb.
Lamb, what concentration too, Pete, with Jeremy Lozon all over him. Big play by Waterloo to get back into this game.
Welcome into another OUA football preview for the 2022 season. We are joined by the Waterloo Warriors head coach Chris Bertoya. A return to normalcy in the OUA. You guys have a brand new field house that we got to see in the springtime at the Combine. How are the Warriors doing with this kind of return to a regular training camp?
Great. I mean, the energy, the tempo, attitude, everything's been fabulous so far. Just finished day 4, and the guys are working hard, and knock on wood, we're relatively healthy. So, yeah, so far so good. Obviously, exciting times to get back to normal, back to a regular regular season, traveling across the province, so on and so forth. Yeah, it's just nice. It's funny because, even last year, things were different, with the COVID regulations, so on and so forth. So you forget some things. So we've been out of the game a little bit. So every once in a while, you're like, shoot, I forgot about that. So, but other than that, things are going great. Can't complain.
When you look at this Waterloo Warriors football program the last 5 years, I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. It has been a set of twin brothers, the Ford brothers, who have been at the forefront of any conversation that seems to revolve around the OUA. Trey Ford, Tyrell Ford. Now they've both moved on to the CFL, both dressing. Trey obviously sustained the injury early in the year. What does the post-Ford era look like for your team?
Well, I mean, the big thing is obviously generational guys, and indebted to them for coming to Waterloo, believing in the vision. And Trey as a quarterback did amazing things and has transitioned quite well. Obviously, the injury set him back, and Tyrell was here yesterday. Winnipeg's on a bye this week, so it was great to see him. He broke down the team, and at the end of the day, it's university football, and every football program deals with this. It's cyclical. Guys graduate, they move on. Sometimes you want to say unfortunately, because it was exciting times with both those boys here, but they're graduated and they're moving on in bigger and better things. Obviously we have holes to fill, big shoes to fill, but certainly that's why you recruit, and that's why football is the ultimate team sport. And I think that's the one thing moving forward. Obviously, you guys aren't the first people to ask that question. But yeah, exciting times. I think at the end of the day, obviously, we're going to miss them. The OUA is going to miss them, but we got to move on and move forward, and they're no longer part of our football program. And there's a new team here in 2022. We lost 30 guys to graduation, kind of in a double cohort year last year. So we're a young team, that's for sure. But I think what Trey, Tyrell, some of the guys that went before them, Ternowski, Dion, Jesse Gibbon, you name them, those guys established a foundation that we can now build on, and certainly change the attitude and the culture here, which we have to sustain now.
And I guess kind of a little bit of a follow-up to build on that. I'm not going to spend too much more time on the Ford brothers because they get tons of well-deserved attention, I will say. But a couple guys that you have on your roster ended up at the CFL Ontario Regional Combine, which you guys hosted, and it was awesome. But guys like Rashawn Dagelman at the Ontario Regional Combine at Waterloo and showed out very well. What does that kind of do for yourself as a coach, and I guess for their mindset as well, coming back and kind of having that experience?
Well, Barnabas moved on. He graduated.
Yep.
So is Deshaun, Jupiter Dean. They're no longer part of our program. Both graduated, did quite well, and are both have applied to master's programs and are moving forward. Rashawn is returning, so we're happy with that. I think those experiences are great. For any player that has that opportunity, is afforded that opportunity. Clearly, they've worked hard enough to get to that spot. They all would say they would have liked to done better. and get drafted. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So, but I think the experience and some of our younger players seeing these guys having that opportunity certainly is encouraging to them, that if they put the necessary work and effort both on the field, in the weight room, that those opportunities exist for not just one or two Waterloo Warrior football players, but multiple players. So that I think sets the tone for our culture moving forward.
And on the defensive side of the ball, it's not just the Ford brothers that have been leading the way on your team. The Hinsberger brothers have also been coming through your program. A guy like Jack Hinsberger was an East-West bowler this year. What does he bring to your team this season that's going to elevate your defense?
Well, last year coming off the ACL, he a little bit of a slow start, but he got into Jack Hinsberger form towards the end of the season and certainly showed well at the East-West Bowl. He's worked his tail off this offseason. He's been a leader in our Iron Warrior culture. He's had an outstanding first 4 days of camp. He's a physical leader. He's a great captain and leader of our defense, and brings confidence and attitude. And we're excited to have him back in full form.
And on the offensive side of the ball, obviously you have an offensive background with your coaching history. What do you guys kind of look like this year without Trey Ford, without a guy like Gordon Lamb, and we mentioned Barnabas Neal already? There's a new wave of talent coming through this Warriors program. What does your offense look like this year?
Well, we've done a good job recruiting. Our receiving core is youthful, but I believe very, very talented, athletic, fast. And fortunately for us, Gordon Lamb has returned. He's the leader of our receiving core. So, and he's taken, I think it was a humbling experience for him not getting drafted. He's taken a different angle on things. He's been outstanding the first 4 days as a leader, mentor of this young group. He certainly sees the talent in them, wants to lead by example, but is also helping them out with playbook, you name it. He's done some things that have been different, and it's exciting in that regard. Running back wise, we're pretty excited about, we feel like we have a two-headed monster in Nick Sua and Anthony Miller. Offensive line is there's going to be some youth, some inexperience, not necessarily youth, but some guys that waited their turn last year. We had a very veteran group up front, so guys are going to get their opportunity. And then quarterback's a big battle right now, so it's been very healthy during the last 4 days, and we're not going to change what we do. Obviously, Trey had a special set of skills, but I think what we do offensively complements the quarterbacks that we have, and then we're going to do Waterloo offense the way we do it always, and go out and recruit players that we believe fit into that offense. So as we move forward.
And with that Waterloo style of football that you guys have been playing, I mean, you have been on the rise as kind of like the team to watch in the OUA. What does it take for you guys as the Warriors to kind of reach that next step and not be the team to watch, but be the team to beat?
Well, I think belief, and I think that this year, I think expectations on the outside of this university might be different than what the expectations on the inside are. We have a core group of players that believe that we can take that next step. And I think the big thing is that, it's no slight on Trey or Tyrell, but I think sometimes young men can, Trey will just get it done. And now I think there's a collective belief that everybody needs to do their 1/12, do their job. And there's going to be moments where guys need to rise to the occasion, where in the past it was just like, Trizzy will do it, right? And I think that's one thing as a collective, and being able to share the football, empower each other, celebrate everybody's success from an offensive perspective. That's a new attitude moving forward. So we'll see what happens, but obviously it starts up front. The foundation of any football program is on the line of scrimmage, and certainly our offensive line is going to need to rise to the occasion, because we certainly want to be a balanced team, be able to run the football, and obviously protect our quarterback.
Now, as you get to kind of expand back into this full conference schedule, we've been kind of asking a couple coaches about this. What are some of the things that your young players haven't gotten to experience yet in their OUA careers that they're going to be widened to? How do you think they're going to adjust to long road trips or playing against some teams that you didn't match up against last year?
Well, I think you take one game at a time. At the end of the season, game 7 and 8 for us, we're at Carleton, and then the next week at Windsor. So kind of going to both ends of the province. We're planning on traveling the day before for both of those games. I've usually with Windsor, we have a 1 o'clock kickoff. Most times we go down there the day of, but I feel like with week 8, playoffs could be on the line. So we're not going to, take any chances. But yeah, that experience of traveling, staying overnight, those will be new. But we're going to rely on, the veterans that are still on our club that have experienced that to lead the way. And, it's just part of the growth and experience. And I think the big thing is just, focusing on, what's important now. Not getting enamored. These guys have all been on long bus trips before, playing summer football, high school, whatever it may be. So we're not going to dwell on those little details. We'll just focus on what's important, and that's the football game.
Maybe not necessarily a long bus ride, more so a short walk, but there's a ton of great traditions in the OUA, but one of my favorites is absolutely the Battle of Waterloo. If you don't mind just spending a little bit of time talking about, the Battle of Waterloo, what it means to not only your program, but the city, and just to kind of have that event and have that kind of crosstown rivalry that you guys do with Laurier.
Yeah, it's obviously the last few years have been outstanding, right?
Some of the best games.
Yeah. Yeah, it started in 2018 when we kind of broke that slump and at Laurier, and then the following year it was the 53-50, triple overtime. Last year they were super, like the scores weren't necessarily indicative of how competitive the games were. I think the fourth quarter things just kind of got out of hand a little bit in our favor, which certainly we'll take. But the rivalry, I think the big thing about it now is that it actually is a rivalry. Because when, Laurier wins 15, 16 games in a row, it loses its luster, right? So now it's been back and forth, and certainly, the guys, I believe our players, their players now have a mutual respect for each other. Certainly, the coaching staffs, we respect each other greatly. It's exciting, really, truthfully, and we want to keep building the game up. And I talk to Mike all the time about how we can, get more butts in the stands and make it more grandiose. Obviously, there's no stadiums here to make it equal to the Panda game, but there's a lot on the line, and there's a lot of pride with it now. And I'm glad that it's come back to that existence that certainly I got to experience as a player myself in the late 90s. It's a game, our alumni, their alumni circle on the calendar. And it's going to be a great, Thursday night game, 6 o'clock start before Thanksgiving, a little bit later in the season. So we're going to see where everyone's at. And certainly will be exciting, and I'm excited for it. The problem is I think it's week 6, so we got 5 other games before it. So we'll see how things shake out up until that point. But there's certainly going to be the Battle of Waterloo on the line. But I think playoff position, so on and so forth, on the line as well. So it's going to be a very important game.
And just, I guess, one more before we let you go here, sticking with the theme of the Battle of Waterloo, to put you on the spot, do you have a favorite memory? Is it a play that Trey Ford has made? Is it like kind of the hitch pass play that you guys had, or is it something from your playing days as well?
It is.
Oh, there's so many memories, really, truthfully. You kind of nailed them, really, Connor. I think, that little hitch play, you had to I don't want to say it, but it was a ballsy call.
I think I watched that back about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times afterwards.
Yeah, but sometimes you got to take risks, right? And you never know until you do it. Your hero or goat, if it doesn't succeed, what an idiot that guy is who called it, right? So, but that was great. I think we ran the RPO. We were running a slant with Ternowski a bunch, and we hit it, and they adjusted to it. But the free safety was coming in that 2018 game late, a minute and a half left, and we hit Tyler on a sluggo, and he ran away from 3 defenders. That was huge. He was running into the end zone, and we've now established the Battle of the Waterloo game is our Waterloo Warrior football homecoming. So wherever it is, and thankfully to Laurier, they allow us to have a football alumni tent. Well, where Ternowski scored was, we had about 75, old birds sitting in there going nuts, and it was a pretty neat experience, in that regard. My biggest as a player, obviously 99 Yates Cup, just the stadium. It's pretty epic, and it was a crazy experience playing Laurier in the Yates Cup, and very neat and cool. And I tell those stories to the guys on the team, and they try to imagine it. So, lots of great memories. I think everybody has certain memories, but lots of great memories, especially over the last couple of years, and I'm sure there's going to be more this year.
Well, thank you very much. Hopefully we do get you guys in the Yates Cup. We're rooting for everyone to make it this year. But thank you so much for giving us your time amidst your busy training camp schedule. We really look forward to the year getting back to some normalcy, and hopefully we'll see you down the road at one of the games.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this.
No problem, Coach. Thank you.